Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. In this episode, we'll take a closer look at the White House as it modifies its tone, as it changes its tune on the $300 a week unemployment benefits and what we can expect going forward as far as the $300 a week are concerned. We'll also take a look at Facebook's suspension of former President Trump, which now has been extended until at least January 2023. And we'll take a look at former President Trump's response. Let's start with this tweet on your screen from Jeff Stein, the White House economics reporter for the Washington Post. And Jeff writes that Brian Deese, the White House's senior economic advisor, when he was specifically asked whether Democratic-run states should also cut supplemental unemployment benefits, Brian Deese said, and I quote, "That program was designed as a temporary lifeline. The temporary boost is slated to expire in 90 days. As the president said, that's appropriate." Folks, this is as clear a sign as any that we are not going to see an extension of the $300 a week unemployment benefits beyond the September deadline. And it is very clear that this is now definitely going to come to an end. Here's another tweet also on your screen from Jeff Stein from the Washington Post. Asked again, Deese said President Biden believes the unemployment benefits had provided a temporary critical lifeline, but reiterates that is a very short-term issue and pivots immediately to talking about the vaccination strategy. Jeff also reports that some people have been skeptical about the White House's seriousness about fighting for automatic stabilizers. Automatic stabilizers essentially imply that as the unemployment rate, as the level of difficulty, the level of economic challenges in a state increase, that state should now start sending out stimulus checks and paying higher unemployment benefits to their residents. This is the concept of automatic stabilizers. It's very clear, though, that this is not an immediate priority for the White House. This is not an immediate priority for the Biden administration, because now they are going to be extremely focused on the infrastructure plan. They're extremely focused on the vaccine, and they're extremely focused on trying to get the next infrastructure package passed. In the meantime, folks, former President Trump has been suspended from Facebook until at least January 2023, according to an announcement from Facebook. Here's a headline of an article on your screen from CNN. Facebook says Trump now suspended until at least January 7th, 2023, which is 2 years from when he was initially suspended. And this is very interesting because, again, this means that former President Trump will not have the platform of Facebook, and Facebook said it will reassess the circumstances to see if he should be allowed back on. Now, this move essentially means Trump will not be able to post from his Facebook account, which has tens of millions of followers, prior to the 2022 midterm elections. But Facebook's announcement does leave open the possibility that his suspension could be lifted ahead of the 2024 presidential elections. So, and this is President Trump's reaction to the Facebook ban. And this is reporting from Meredith McGraw, who's a White House reporter at Politico. Former President Trump said this: "Facebook's ruling is an insult to the record-setting 75 million people, plus many voters who voted for us in the 2022 rigged election." I guess President Trump continues to believe that there were extensive shenanigans with the presidential election. And former President Trump continues to say they shouldn't be allowed to get away with this censoring and silencing, and ultimately we will win. So pretty emphatic comments from former President Trump. And what's interesting is that the White House press secretary Jen Psaki actually chimed in on this, on Trump's Facebook suspension until at least 2023. She said, and I quote, "Feels pretty unlikely that the zebra is going to change his stripes over the next 2 years." Let's roll the tape and hear from Jen Psaki.
We learned a lot from President Trump, the former president, over the last couple of years about his behavior and how he uses these platforms. Feels pretty unlikely that the zebra is going to change his stripes over the next 2 years. We'll see.
And here's another interesting segment featuring Jen Psaki. She was asked by Fox News' Peter Doocy, who's always looking for trouble. She was asked if there's any circumstance in which President Biden would fire Dr. Fauci, to which Jen Psaki had a one-word response. Let's check this out.
Just since you mentioned Dr. Fauci again, can you imagine any circumstance where President Biden would ever fire him?
No. Go ahead.
Just to follow up a little.
Yep. that is as emphatic as it gets. It was a one-word response, no. In the meantime, let's take a look at this tweet on your screen from Tony Romm, who's an economic policy and technology contributor for the Washington Post. The White House did change its tone a bit on pandemic unemployment benefits. It went from explicitly saying that unemployment benefits did not affect hiring to more free-flowing answers, to more open-ended answers that point out that the benefits have not ended in many places and are going to expire anyway. In short, the White House previously said, hey, unemployment is critical, it's not causing labor shortages, and now the White House is changing its tune and saying, hey, wait a minute, it's still continuing in some Democratic states and it's going to expire soon anyway, which is what Brian Deese said. In fact, let's take a look at a White House transcript where the president was asked about this. And the president was asked, Mr. President, do you believe enhanced unemployment benefits had any effect on diminishing a return to work in some categories? The president said, no, nothing measurable, thank you. And that is from back on the 7th of May. Well, 2 months later, the White House is now saying, hey, the unemployment benefits are scheduled to end because they were meant to be temporary. Now, speaking of the White House, here's a very interesting statement from former President Trump, and this was reported by Christina Wilkie, who covers the White House for CNBC. We'll show you the statement by former President Trump, and he writes, next time I'm in the White House, there'll be no more dinners at his request with Mark Zuckerberg and his wife. It will be all business. Seems kind of random to me. I'm not sure what former President Trump was thinking, but he's certainly implying that that either he intends to run for president again or he's going to be at the White House at some point in time. Another individual who definitely wants to be back in the White House at some point in time is former Vice President Mike Pence, who is essentially signaling that he may want to be the 2024 Republican candidate for President of the United States. In fact, he's writing a book about his time in the White House, and he said almost everyone's excited about it. Well, I'm not sure what almost everyone means, but one thing is for sure, former Vice President Mike Pence is not as exciting a character as the former president, and he pretty much admits that. Let's take a look at comments from the former Vice President of the United States, the one and only Mike Pence.
You know, I'm writing a book about our time in the White House, and almost everybody's excited about it.
In the meantime, let's take a look at this article on your screen from New York Magazine. Here's the most interesting part of the article, and I'm going to quote from the article. We'll provide you with a link to this article, Trump sycophants pleading for less talk of coups at the Saturday rally. And this article was published by the New York Magazine. Let's take a look at a very, very important piece of this article. I'll quote directly from the article. Naturally, as you'd expect any time Trump's supplicants are attempting to gently steer him away from any act of self-harm, Lindsey Graham is playing a key role. While the South Carolina Republican has been realistic about Trump's fixation on 2020, recognizing that it's a fool's errand to get him to steer totally clear of that topic, he has encouraged Trump to deliver a speech that is 2/3 forward-looking, 1/3 grievance, according to a source for this article. Please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you. Your action, your simple action of clicking the like button, clicking subscribe and enabling notifications goes a long way in supporting our channel. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.